Hello everybody, and welcome to another video. I hope you had an awesome week. This week I am going to quickly film a video before I'm off to London in about 2 hours. So I'm going to try and get this done before I go so that you guys have a nice video for you to watch on Sunday. The week after that though probably will be a skipped one because I'm going to be away for just under 2 weeks, so I will not be releasing a video the following week because I'm going to be up north enjoying some time off with my beautiful lovely friend that I grew up with. So in London I'm going to also be doing a photo shoot with my jewelry for a magazine, so I'll tell you guys more about that when it's ready to be released. But they're doing an article on me and we're doing a photo shoot with some models, so I'm super excited about that. So been preparing everything this morning for that. So now I am going to do the part 3 of the wax carvings, which is this is the ring. So if you guys remember from a previous video, me carving this, and it's all matte finish, which personally I actually quite enjoy. I quite like that. But as I'm going to have to cut off this sprue, which looks to me like a little love tap, I don't know what you guys think. Check it out, little shape with a little cute little heart on it. Cute. Belgian casters, eh? So I'm gonna have to cut that off. And then I will finish that up because as I'm going to file there, it's going to be all shiny, so it's not going to blend in properly with the rest of the ring. So I'm going to need to polish up everything as well. So going to do that, and at the same time as doing this, just because this is not the most exciting thing to watch alone, I thought that I would talk to you guys about how to find your niche. If you haven't already found that, it's quite important in terms of really understanding your customers as well. So that was point number 1 in last week's video. In case you didn't watch that, you can watch it somewhere up there. And yeah, it's really important to know your niche because this way it gives you a lot clearer idea of how to go about doing your branding and everything else afterwards to help you find the right ideal customers. So I'm gonna do the ring in between, and I'll stop and pause and talk to you guys in between as well about the niche and the different points that you can go about to help you figure yours out if you haven't already. So let's get crackling. My name is Megan and I'm a jewelry designer maker from South Africa, now living in Europe. For the last 7 years, I've been selling my jewelry all around the world in shops, boutiques and exhibitions. At the end of 2021, I took a huge leap of faith. I quit my 9-to-5 job in London, moved to Belgium, and started a coaching business. Follow along as I share my experience and take you through the day-to-day of being a jewelry designer, from making to running a successful jewelry brand. So first up, I'm just going to cut off this sprue, but I think I'm going to just actually bend it so that it's a bit of an easier angle, so I don't have to cut through it twice, like these. Oh, so really thick. Sprues are always thick. So let's do that. And this cute little heart is kind of cute, but I think I'm going to just leave it on there and cut this whole thing off. Let's do this. Voila, so there we go. So that is all off. Kind of cute. So I cut that off as close as I could without going into the actual ring. So what I'm going to do now is to file that off there. But before I do that, let's talk about our first point. So first of all, what you need to do is to figure out what kind of jewelry you like making. So is it fine jewelry, which is made with more expensive metals such as silver and gold and gemstones, or even precious stones such as diamonds and rubies, for example? Or is it fashion jewelry, which is more cheaper and is a lot easier to make, a lot quicker, less time consuming, made from cheaper materials such as brass, copper, feathers, beads, or anything like that? Or are you something in between? So I go into a bit more detail about this in the previous video where I outline your 10 steps about that you should take when you start your jewelry business. But anyway, right now we're going to go into finding your niche in a bit more detail. So once you've decided on your materials, then you are going to have a better idea of the way that you like working. So it's a really good idea to really try and choose a particular kind of style as soon as you feel ready to do that. Obviously in the beginning, when you start out, trust me, you're going to want to do a bit of everything, and that's great because one, you're learning the skills and you're developing your taste and your style and your aesthetic. So you want to try lots of different things, and then maybe if you put everything out on the table and you look at it, it doesn't really all go together, but that's totally fine in the beginning. But as soon as you are ready to actually turn it into a business, then it's a good idea to pick a style. Doesn't mean that you can never make anything ever again, but you need to kind of have an umbrella idea of the sort of feeling that you would like people to have when they buy your jewelry. Obviously within your jewelry, you're going to have your different collections that are focused on different inspiration and are around a different theme. But ideally, it should all still look like it works together. When I first started making collections, I was so nervous if I didn't have a full collection to display that if I put some other pieces from a different collection in amongst it in my display, then people would think that it really didn't fit. But I asked around and asked quite a few people, and they all agreed that that it was totally fine, and it still all looked like Megan Collins jewelry, which was great. So obviously it meant that I had kind of started to build a certain style. But for example, say you have like really organic-y pieces, and then you have like super geometric pieces, and they're just completely and utterly different in every way. Or maybe like it's like really intricate, like crazy things, and then like super clean minimalism. I think those two, for example, wouldn't really sit so well together and clearly be identified as the same person. So try and choose your sort of style that you like working in best, and then you can go from there. Obviously, there's still so much you can explore once you've picked something. It doesn't feel like it needs to be limiting, but you can just explore that even more. So kind of choose, like, for one, is it like clean lines, or is it geometric shapes and clean lines, or is it really natural organic-y shapes? Like, what is it that you like making? And also the materials. The materials are kind of very important, because say you're putting next to each other a piece of like some earrings made of leather, or you're putting like some pure gold rings next to each other that are like super amazingly made and cost way more. Obviously those are combining two very different things, fine jewelry and then costume jewelry. So try and pick like what things you like working with. Or for example, if you like polymer clay, then suddenly going and jumping into working with fine jewelry and silver and gold is gonna confuse your customer. And if you have all of these different things on your Instagram page or on your website, for example, the person who comes on there isn't going to really have a clear understanding of what you're about. Is this all yours, or was that something you bought from somebody else? Like, they don't really understand what to expect from you. So narrowing that down to the materials for starters is really, really important. So what I'm going to do now is quickly file this ring. I also just wanted to add that in the beginning, I know that it's tricky to really straight away go and choose your exact style that you're going to work with forever. So don't stress about that. Just try different things and you will know when it feels right and it feels like your style that you really want to see through and you want to take further. So when I first started, I made really organic shaped things because personally I found that a safe zone, and it didn't matter if it was a little bit squonky or wobbly or, you know, not quite perfect. So that was my fear holding me back from trying very geometric, clean architectural shapes. But then we had this project that we're working on, and mine ended up being really geometric, and I actually absolutely loved the result. And from then on, I really knew that that was the kind of jewelry and the style of jewelry that I really wanted to go down. So feel into it, see what makes sense for you, but just have fun with the process and don't put too much pressure on yourself having to decide right away, right now. But it's a good thing to keep in mind, as this will really help you further down the line. Right, that looks pretty good. So as you can see inside there, it's kind of shiny and all scratched from the filing. So I'm going to need to clean that up, but I've got my lovely pendant motor with a bit of sandpaper on the end that I'm going to do that with. So I've just got to change my little sanding bit here because it's run out. So I use a little split pin in case any of you guys want to make one of these. So a little split pin, and then I wrap it with sandpaper, and then I can just keep on adding more when I'm done. And then it's really handy because you can buy these little sandpaper things, but obviously they cost more money, and this is a cheaper way of doing it. Let me just grab my tape. Then next up, we've got your ethos. So your ethos is like the kind of things that you value. So like, do you value environmentally friendly jewelry? Do you value recycling your jewelry, like making your jewelry out of found objects? Or is it all about high quality, super luxury items? Or like, what is it that you really value about jewelry? So have a think about that and really dig deep into what it is that your brand is going to stand for. So this is to do with your core values, your brand message, your brand story. So on my website, I've got some information about that. But have a look and see what you think customers will really appreciate about your brand. So you want to have this really clear. So this is when you really start to understand your pillars and what your business is about. So have a think about that and try and really connect with them on an emotional level when you go about doing this. But yeah, really play around with that. It could be anything really, but just feel what feels right for you. So that is looking all nice. So we've actually decided to put it shiny on the inside and then to keep it this lovely matte on the outside. I know obviously as you wears it, then it's going to become shiny and get a whole different surface of its own. But I think it's actually quite nice. So we are done with that. Super quick, super easy. Once you get it back from the casters, doesn't take too long. Another point to consider is your interests and wondering if there's a way that you could turn those into a style of jewelry, for example. So maybe you absolutely love peacocks. Totally random, but maybe all your jewelry is about peacocks and you become the woman with the peacock jewelry, for example. Completely random example, but you know what I mean. It could be maybe you like rainbows and it's all about rainbows, but have a think about that. Also, that really depends on the age range of your target audience, because obviously if you are making jewelry for children, then rainbows and dragons, they love that stuff. You could potentially do your jewelry all about that, and maybe it's made from polymer clay, and that's really your niche. So you choose to really focus on that, because niching down is actually quite important. Often people think, oh, if I niche down, then there's not enough people who are going to like that. But what you really want to do is to build an audience that absolutely loves your jewelry. You don't want to be vanilla. So you don't want to create jewelry that some people like, but some people don't like, but no one's really that passionate about it. So you really would rather appeal to those people who absolutely freaking love it and they go gaga when they see it, rather than just trying to appeal to everybody, because then it's not really, it doesn't really have that much of a strong connection with people. So you need to choose the materials first, then you need to choose the direction that you want to go in with that. Could be based on your interests, because people who share those interests with you might also then connect with you on that level. Once you've done all of this, this will really, really help you come up with your branding a whole lot easier, because once you have that clear idea, then it's much easier to understand more about who your audience is and the kind of things that they like and the things that you like, and you can share this interest. It also gives you a lot to talk about when you're messaging people. Oh yes, me too, I absolutely love that. Oh, I remember that time that I went to the circus, or whatever it was. So think about that, because that will also really help you with your marketing, because knowing your ideal customer is really important before you begin to spend any money on marketing. So especially if you want to go down the Facebook ads route or anything like that, then you need to really have a clear idea of who you're marketing to, and also in terms of picking markets or venues like pop-ups or exhibitions, you need to know if the right people are going to come to that event or if you're wasting your time and money. So once you have a clear idea of the kind of jewelry you like and your aesthetic, your ethos, your values and all of that, it's then a whole lot easier for you to move on and to do some market research, as well as do your branding and really have a clear idea of what it's all about. And then that becomes a whole lot easier to connect with your audience and to find your audience. So by using hashtags and searching for different niches and different things that people like that you also like. So have fun with that. And that is a wrap for this week's video, guys. I will be hopefully basking in the sunshine up, where will I be then? In London, with my lovely friends, packing up a house that I lived in with them for a good 3 to 4 years actually. So we'll be saying goodbye to the house that we lived in together there for a good long while. And the house is being sold, an end of an era. Anyway, I hope you guys have a beautiful, lovely week, and thanks in advance for allowing me the week off next week to enjoy my time off. Speak to you guys soon. Have a beautiful week and